Hello and welcome to Behind the Bar with me, Cara Devine. If you saw last week's episode, you now know all about the bitter delights of Amari. If you haven't seen that yet, there is a link below. And now it's about time I showed you how useful these can be in cocktails. Amari can be substituted in for easy twists on classics or used in modern drinks for an interesting pop of flavour. And make sure you stay tuned until the end because I'll be showing you one of the very first original cocktails I ever came up with. It got me a job when I arrived here in Melbourne and I've never actually named it. So the best suggestion in the comments will be what it's known as forevermore. By the way, we will release longer versions of all the cocktails we're making here, and in those episodes I'll go into the history and products and ingredients in a little bit more detail, and my favourite part, do some tasting and flavour notes at the end. The White Negroni seemed like a good place to start because it's one of my favourite spring or summer aperitif drinks. A bright, light and herbal take on the classic Negroni that still packs a punch and scratches that bittersweet itch. So this one has a grapefruit twist, and I would do lemon over orange if you don't have a grapefruit, but it is just one of those, little things which does kind of pull it all together. Obviously completely up to yourself, you can trim it down because we're serving it on a block. I'm just gonna leave it nice and chunky. And then into our mixing glass here, we're gonna go 20 ml of Suze, and then 40 ml of gin, and 30 ml of Lillet Blanc. Now we're just going to fill our mixing glass up with ice, give it a little stir. I haven't had one of these in ages, they're so good. So we're gonna do this one over a nice big block of ice. Then use your julep strainer to hold the ice back and just pour it on in. Just give your twist a nice fold over the top of the drink, and then you can give it a little rim round the glass. And then you can just sit it in there, but it does look really nice with the kind of peachy orange and the yellow there as well. White Negroni. Now it's time to move over to the dark side from this sunny aperitif to an inky digestif. White Negroni, Black Manhattan, you can probably see a theme here. Switching different Amari into classic cocktails is a really easy way to start playing around with flavours and make sure that you don't get bored of your favourite drinks. Averna is actually fairly sweet with really juicy citrus notes, and so it substitutes in nicely for the vermouth in a classic Manhattan to create a close to perfect nightcap. First, we're gonna get our garnish ready, so just gonna take a little coin, it really doesn't have to be very big, off the side of that. And then just make sure that you have your cherries to hand. And then we're gonna go in with a dash each of our bitters. So 1 dash of orange bitters, 1 dash of Angostura bitters, 20 ml of Averna, and then 60 ml of whichever American whiskey you're planning on using. Before we fill with ice, a quick reminder that you can find this and all of the cocktails we've ever made at withcaradevine.com. There are even downloadable recipes and lots of pretty pictures to get you salivating. You can also sign up for our newsletter there, which will let you know about all things behind the bar, including new merch. Yes, if it's not here already, it's on the way very soon, so we're pretty excited about that. And you can follow us on Insta, Twitter, and a lot of other platforms, or support us on Patreon. All of those links are below, so make sure that you check them out. But for now, we've got a drink to chill, so I better get some ice in this glass. Delicious. Now we're just gonna hold your julep strainer back, This is usually served up, same as a Manhattan. You can absolutely serve it on the rocks if you prefer. And it's usually in a coupe glass, but I just quite like this little fat boy whiskey glass. We're gonna go for that today. Give your lemon a quick little fold over the top. Then that can get chucked away. And then we're just gonna pop a little cherry in the bottom. Nice little surprise for you to find at the end of your drink when it's thoroughly soaked through. The Black Manhattan. As much as it's easy to think of Amari as bit players, they can absolutely be the main act as well. The rum may come first in the name, but this sour is all about the Montenegro. On the more approachable end of the Amaro category, it has converted many a drinker to the bitter side. In a classic sour, it's fresh and approachable, with the rum just providing a slightly boozier backbone to the citrus and spice of the Montenegro. So first we're going to get our egg white ready. Just give this a little tap and filter out your yolk. And I just like to give it actually like almost a little chop, just because it makes it a wee bit easier to pour. And then we're gonna do an orange twist garnish. So just take a nice thick strip off your orange, trim off all of your white pith, and then you can absolutely leave it rustic. I'm just gonna trim this one down slightly. And then in our tins, we're just gonna go a little 15 mils of rum. And then 45 mils of our affectionately named Monty. So literally just about 5 mils of sugar syrup, if that. It's really personal preference. Montenegro is fairly sweet. And then we're gonna go a full 30 mils of lemon juice, really nice and bright and citrusy, and your egg white. Then we'll pop these together, give it a bit of a shake. So without ice, to emulsify the egg, make sure you hold your tins tightly. See, it's all nice and foamy. So we'll add some ice and shake again until it's chilled. Delicious. Then we're just going to use our Hawthorne strainer to hold the ice back. Got a nice little block of ice in here already. Let's just pour through the fine strainer. I do always like to fine strain when you've got egg white in there, because it just gets all the little ice chips out that might sort of ruin your nice foamy head. Fold your orange twist over the top of the drink to expel some oils. And then we're just going to pop in our orange twist. And there we have a Rum Monte Sour. As delicious as the Rum Monte is, it does look a little bit rustic compared to the glamour of this next drink. Described by its creator, Joaquin Simo of Death & Co. in New York, as the bastard love child of a classic glass word and Sam Ross's paper plane, conceived in the mountains of Oaxaca, this drink has become a modern classic in its own right, thanks to its easy formula, which combines unusual ingredients to make an intriguing but amazingly fresh cocktail. There's no garnish necessary for this one because the colour is awesome, but a dehydrated lime wheel does kind of finish it off nicely, so I'll keep that ready to the side here. We do need some fresh lime juice, so let's get that ready. So we're gonna go 20 mils of Aperol. 20 mils of Kikiriki, fun to say, fun to drink. 20 mils of yellow chartreuse. And 20 mils of lime juice. Then we're gonna fill our shaker tin up with ice and shake it. decided to go for some suitable early noughties glassware here and do a little martini glass rather than my coupe. And yeah, such an awesome bright color that it's pretty kind of garnished as it is, but you can just drop a little dehydrated lime wheel on there to finish it off. The Naked and Famous. Now, from one excellently named cocktail to another, everyone loves a good pun every now and again. I love this drink because it's quite a surprising use of Cynar, the artichoke Amaro. Most drinks which use it are quite boozy and brooding and sort of take themselves a bit seriously, whereas this is actually really tropical as much as it still packs a punch. It's a great example of how Amari can really add a layer of complexity to basically any style of drink, and bartenders love playing with them for an unusual edge where the drink would be a little flat otherwise. Just a bit of fresh lime juice to get us started here. So many ingredients, it actually feels like a proper tiki drink. I don't know where to start. We'll go with the orgeat, 15 mils of that. 15 mils of elderflower liqueur. It's interesting like how those kind of floral notes just meld really nicely with Amari as well. And then just a little 5 mils of your old-fashioned traditional dark plantation. And then 20 mils of pussers. And finally, our hero of the day, 25 mils of Cynar. Not finally, we still need the lime juice. Penultimately, the Cynar. And finally, the lime juice. 20 mils of that. Fill your shaker tin with ice. Pop your tins together and shake as hard as you can. And again, because this is not the nicest color in the world, I'm pretty happy to have it in a little colored glass cup. So just pour that straight in. Then just grab the nicest mint sprigs you can find, give them a little smack across the back of your hand, and we're gonna pop that in alongside a little straw, which matches my glass, which I'm pretty happy about. And there we have the Artichoke Hold. You may have noticed that all of these drinks are pretty modern, so I thought I may as well throw my hat in the ring as well. At the trial shift for my first job in Melbourne, it was at a bar called Lily Black's, which incidentally claims to have the largest collection of cocktail bitters in the world, so it may well be why I'm such an advocate for them. But the manager asked me to make him a Negroni but not a Negroni, so something along those lines. I'd recently discovered Amaro Montenegro, which remains my favourite, and also Coffee Americano, which is an aromatized wine bittered with quinine, which I also still love, especially with soda on a hot summer's day. I combined that with a smooth rum and some cacao bitters. It's a pretty tasty, desserty take on a classic bittersweet cocktail. I've made it again a few times for sort of requests or when people say, oh, just make me something, but I've never listed it, so it remains nameless. As always, we're going to prepare our twist first. I am going to assume that, given that I was trying to impress, that I did actually trim my twist this time, so we might do a slightly fancy one. Then we did 2 dashes of Mr. Bitters cacao and macadamia bitters. This was actually made by a couple of the guys that worked at that bar, which is pretty cool, so made here in Melbourne. And then 30 mils of Amaro Montenegro. 30 mils of Diplomatico Reserva. I certainly did not use this on my trial shift because it's quite a nice one, but now that I run the bar, I can use whatever rum I want, so I'm going to treat myself. And then 30 mils of Coffee Americano. And I think that works quite well with the Amaro Montenegro because this is kind of a softer and slightly sweeter style of Amaro. I think with these kind of richer and slightly sweeter flavors, it really comes into its own. Then we're going to fill our mixing glass up with ice. Been a while. It's real juicy. Strain it over a nice big block of ice. And then finish it off with a little quick sharp fold over the top with your orange twist. Give it a little curl round so you can slot it in. And there we have the drink which has not been named. So now you know all about Amari Cocktails and this drink. Make sure you comment below with suggestions for a name. If I find one that I love, then we'll have to edit this as a bonus video and let you all know what it's called. International Open Academy, who helped us put together our online bartending course, are currently having a spring sale offering massive savings. All you need to do is use the offer code BTBSPRING and that gets you 85% off not only our course but also any course on the platform. So from criminology to soap making and everything in between, if you're keen to learn something new this spring or autumn for us in the southern hemisphere, then you're bound to find it. We've put a link in the description below, so please do check that out and happy learning. Probably just make sure that you do it with a cocktail by your side.